Just now we discussed about the concept of learning as per its types are considered. Now let us move on to the laws of learning that need to be studied right now. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಕಲಿಕೆ ನಡೀಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕಲಿಕೆಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತಗಳು ಅಥವಾ ಅನ್ವಯಿಕೆ. These laws were earlier identified by one of the famous psychologists called Edward Thorndike, who is popularly known for his theory of SR learning. He has contributed for the betterment of learning theory in his own form by conducting an experiment, okay, by an animal that we will discuss as per theories of learning are considered. So before that, as far your syllabus is considered, there is a need of understanding the laws of learning, which laws play an important role for learning anybody. Okay, those laws of learning were earlier identified by Thorndike in three in number. Later, they were added few more by some of the other psychologists. So these laws of learning, let us try to understand one by one. So the laws first, I would like to read them so that later I can explain them in a brief form. The first law of learning is law of readiness. So it is nothing but a person need to be ready for learning. Second law is about law of effect. Okay. The third one is law of exercise. That is nothing but the practice makes man's perfect theory. Fourth one is law of disuse. If you are not using any learned elements, it will become useless, like that. The fifth one is law of primacy, where interested elements should have to be repeated so that everything will be remembered. Next is law of association, and last one is law of purpose. So for what purpose we are actually working, those things should have to be discussed now. So the important laws of learning are categorized under this form. Okay. So what they are and how important they are, let us see. First one that I would like to discuss, as I said, these first three principles, law of readiness, law of exercise, and law of effect, are the result of an experiment which was conducted by a person called Edward L. Thorndike, who has developed first three laws of learning that we are supposed to talk now. So the first law he discussed is law of readiness. What actually it means? Okay, law of readiness implies the degree of preparedness as well as eagerness to learn. It means when you are motivating a person to learn in the process of teaching and learning, if you made the learners very active towards your teaching process, then if you teach, definitely they will learn very systematically. If they fail to understand, or if they are not ready to learn, in such a situation, if you are teaching, it is of no use. Like that, he has given a first law in his by the experiment that he has conducted. So law of readiness implies that if a person is ready to do some activity, if a person is ready to learn something, at that time, if learning is to take place, the efficiency, the result, okay, the product will be too good. Okay, that is what his contribution is in the law of readiness. So until a person is ready to do some activity, if you are forcing him or her to do, there will be no good result from such a condition. If the person is ready to learn, so if the person is ready, if the person is ready to take participation, if the person, both the teacher or the learners are ready, at that time teaching and learning process, if that used to take place, then definitely efficiency will be more. That is what the law of readiness. There is a saying in Kannada, ಕಬ್ಬಿನ ಕಾದಾಗ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ಹಂತಕ್ಕಾದ್ರೂ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ರಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ. ಕಬ್ಬಿನ ಅದೇ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಆದಾಗ ಅದನ್ನ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಟು ಮೌಲ್ಡ್ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಶೇಪ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ಡ್. ಬಟ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆ ಒಂದು ಕಬ್ಬಿಣವನ್ನು ಕಾಯಿಸಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಹದಕ್ಕೆ ತಂದು ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಬಡದು ಅಥವಾ ಅದನ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಶೇಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೂಪಾಂತರ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಓಕೆ, ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಅವರ್ ಓನ್ ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನ್ಸ್. ದೆನ್ when it is ready, ಯಾವಾಗ ಕಲಿಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಲಿಕಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ರೆಡಿ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, when a person is ready to learn something. If I wish to learn driving, first of all I need to be motivated. Okay, if I am ready to learn driving, then if driving classes are conducted, then if I teach you people to learn how to drive, then there is a good result. If I am not interested in driving, ನನಗೆ ಡ್ರೈವಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದಾಗ ಅವಂಗ ನಾನು ಡ್ರೈವಿಂಗ್ ಕಲಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು it is not that good anta, it is not that effective. So the first law of learning is the person should have to be ready for anything. Okay, law of learning, that is law of readiness. Second one is law of exercise, that shows the things that are most oftenly repeated are usually best remembered. Like that, how we prepare ourselves for the examination. So if any new concept is learned, the same learned concept is repeated again and again, and then it will be remembered. Exercises makes man's perfect. ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಪ್ರಯತ್ನಗಳು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನಗಳ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಆದಂಗೆ ಪ್ರಮಾದಗಳ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಒಂದು ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಮುಂದೆ. But law of exercise will definitely help. See, the way how we are all you know, the way how we are all writing, the way how we are all talking, the way how we are all speaking, the way how we are all listening, these are all the best result of exercises only. Or if you are doing some activity right now, that is all the result of exercise, because we are repeating it. We are all repeating the form of writing ability since childhood. You can produce the ability of writing in a very systematic form. If not, it will not. So anyhow, the law of exercise will help you to remember the things forever. That is also one of the important contribution of law. Third one is law of effect. So when a person is ready, when the person repeated the learned elements continuously, then what will be the effect? The effect will be very good. ಕಲಿಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಡಿ ಇದ್ದು ಕಲಿತಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಮೇಲಿನ ಮೇಲೆ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅವಾಗ ಕಲಿತಂತಹ ಅಂಶ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಪರಿಣಾಮಕಾರಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಲಾ ಹಿ ಸ್ಪೋಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್. ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್, ಪರಿಣಾಮ ನಿಯಮ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಸೊ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಇಮೋಷನಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ and the motivation of the student, we can get the law of effect. If the learner is ready in the classroom to learn, and if he is taught by the teacher in a very effective form, then he repeated the same learned elements for a number of times by listening again and again, by reading the text, by writing some important notes, by hearting, by remembering, by following his own techniques. If the learned elements is repeated again and again, what will be the product? He will not face any difficulty in writing any answer for the question that he is prepared for which lesson he is actually prepared for, isn't it? So law of effect will explains that how a person's emotional reaction is, or how far that person is motivated by a condition. So learning is usually strengthened with pleasant experiences, whereas unpleasant experiences used to go to the negative elements. ಕಲಿತಂತಹ ಅಂಶ ಬಹಳ ಸುಖದಾಯಕವಾಗಿದ್ರೆ, ಸಂತೋಷವನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ, ಅದು ಬಹಳ ದಿನಗಳವರೆಗೆ ನೆನಪಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ನಕಾರಾತ್ಮಕತೆ ಅಥವಾ ದುಃಖವನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಬಹಳ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಯೂಶುವಲಿ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅಪಾನ್ based on how we are ready and how the exercise what we did. So all three are very, very important according to Edward Thorndike. And even there are three indications of the other three laws which need to be studied now. They are none other than the law of primacy. So learning should be done correctly for the first time, since it is difficult to unlearn or change an incorrectly learned material. According to this principle, whatever we used to learn in our life, it may be related to nursing profession, it may be related to teaching profession, it may be related to engineering or any activity, or even if you wish to sell some material in the market, so that should have to be learned according to the fourth principle of the fourth law of learning, as per psychologists we will consider. That is what? Law of primacy. Learning should be done correctly for the first time, so that it cannot be recovered. So whatever we used to do, it should be done correctly. That shows how important law of primacy is about. So which cannot be unlearned. So ಮೊದಲು ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Learning should be done correctly for the first time, since it is difficult to unlearn the same learned elements in the first time. So we cannot change. Okay, change cannot take place according to the learning material. So that law of primacy should have to be also understood. Next is law of recency. Means recent elements which were learned will be remembered good as comparing to the previous one. Things that are most recently learned are often best remembered. So the things which we used to remember through the help of different technicalities. Say for example, right now I am talking about the principles, the laws of learning. Yesterday also we were discussed about something. So in the previous classes we were discussed something. If I ask you the last month information right now, it is difficult for you to remember. If I ask about yesterday's class, you may tell. If I ask about what is actually I am presenting, definitely you will give the responses. So law of learning, the fifth law of learning says that law of recency. Recently, whatever we used to learn, it will be remembered best in the best form comparing to the previously learned elements. Okay, that shows that recent developments, recent learnings definitely help us to learn the things in a very systematic form. And the last one is law of intensity, where the more intense we are towards what we are actually experienced, the more likely it will be retained. If intensely, purposefully, willingly, I am interested in doing, if I am interested in learning, definitely the effectiveness will be too good. If I am forcibly there in the class, either it may be online or offline, the learning will be decreased. If I am intentionally participating, yes, today I am going to learn something in psychology. If I am going to learn something today which is helpful for me to improve my personality, as well as it may come for the examination, so that I can write, I can listen attentively, I can watch the slides correctly, I can get the clarification if I have any doubts. So if you are doing so, then definitely learning will be too good. That form of learning is to be called as the sixth law, law of intensity. Intensity, the more intense something is taught, the more likely it will be retained. So the person who is teaching should have to be intense first, so that the same expectation is to be done from learner's point of view. These are some of the laws of learning that I thought of discussing with you. Now let us move on to the next sub concept of this chapter, that is the about factors which are influencing on learning. Okay, usually what are the factors which influences on learning? Let us see. So there are based on the nature of learners positions, as well as the efficiency of the learning, they were categorized into different considerations of the categories. The first factor which influences on every type of learning most is a learners related factor. Okay, ಕಲಿಕೆಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಬೀರುವಂತಹ ಅಂಶಗಳು ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಕಲಿಕಾರ್ಥಿಯ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಇರ್ತವೆ. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಅಂಶಗಳು ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಬೀರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು. Factors which influence on learning. So learner related factor, first let us try to understand, later we shall see the other factors of learning too. Okay, so the first factor which influences learning is learner factor. Well, what are the learner factor which influences on learning? One is the physical as well as mental health of a learner that you are talking about. So if the physical as well as the mental health of the learner is too good, definitely it is good for every one of us to do the best science as per the development of learning is considered. Okay, if the person who we are talking about, in the classroom condition, if you people are physically strong, mentally healthy, then you can listen to any type of classes. If you are not feeling good, you cannot learn systematically. So that is the first factor under learner related factor. So learners physical as well as physical mental health should be in a sound way or in a good form, so that you can do the best type of learning, and the learners may get the learners may receive the best information. Next is the basic potentialities of the learner also play an important role. What are the qualities and quantities they used to have, how potential they are. Okay, in which area they are very strong. So the potentialities of the learner also play an important role. See, out of your classroom, some of you are interested in some classes, like in your high school or PU level, some of you are interested in learning language, some of you are very much interested in science, some of you may be very much interested in maths, some might have been interested towards science, mathematics, social science, like that. So it depends upon our potentialities. Okay, in which area I am very strong, I always used to play the same. So if you are interested in playing cricket, so that will be your potentialities. If you are allowed to go for, yes, you can go and play football, you are not interested, if your potentials are not there in football, you will never interest to take participate in a football game. Like that, learners potentialities are to be given prior importance as far learning is considered. That is also one of the important factors which influences learner. Next is the level of aspiration as well as the achievement motivation that a learner used to have. If I have very strong motivation, if I have very good means high achievement motivation, definitely I can get the right type of solutions. Okay, if the learner is not ready properly, if the learner's achievement motivation is not strongly converted, then you cannot make the learner to get the right type of result. So the level of aspiration, the need, the desire of the learner towards learning definitely matters. So that also influence on learning. And the type of motivation that a person used to have towards something, that also matters. The achievement motivation directly or indirectly influences on learning as per learner related factors are considered. Next, the goals of the life an individual used to have. So the objectives and the goals that they used to have, those also matters for learning as per learners participation is considered. Next is readiness as well as the willpower, how the learner is ready. So yes, today I will learn something. If you have started this particular thought in your mind and you have started appearing online classes also, there may be what I can say influence of very good positive strength as per your participation is considered. If you are not ready, I need to again attend so many online classes. So let me join and do my activity like that. You did, nothing will be understood. So how you ready, how prepared you are, how your willpower is, how strongly you are motivated. So those are all the aspects which will definitely motivate even anybody towards learning situations. Those aspects will comes under learner's point of view. How is the physical condition? How is the mental condition? How potentialities the learner is to have? Okay, how aspired or desires of the learner are? How strongly that person is motivated or achievement motivation is considered. Okay, how are the goals or objectives of the life are determined or identified by the learner, and how a person is ready as well as how the willpower of the person is. So these are the important consideration for which directly or indirectly influences every individual's learning as per our individuality is considered. Learner related factors are considered. Now about teachers factors are considered. Teacher related factor also influence on learning too. They are not, or means learner factors are not directly influenced, but even how the teacher perform in the classroom, either it may be online mode or it may be offline mode, how the teachers factors play an important role, that also matters. Okay, so as for teachers performance are considered, as for teacher related factor are considered, which we need to consider. One is how the teacher is, not physically I'm talking about, how the subject teacher gained the information about the topic that he or she is talking about, or the topic that he or she need to cover today or in the class. So the mastery over the subject matter definitely matters. So based on our teacher's performance or presentation only, students will come to know whether the teacher is comfortable in the teaching or not, whether he had attained the highest level of understanding of the subject or not, whether he is proficient or she is proficient in the subject or not. Those are usually identified based on the level of mastery that the teacher used to have in the subject. Okay, so mastery over the subject matter of the teacher definitely matters. If the teacher is not having mastery in the subject, if students ask the question, if he or she is not in a position to answer to the needy questions, then that shows that the teacher is not that comfortable. So that will definitely decline the level of learning most of the times. So whenever the teacher should have to take a class, he or she should be prepare himself or herself in such a way that every yes, you may ask any type of questions towards the topic that I have covered. I may give the answer. I will definitely give the answer. Like that type of confidence or fluency should have to be there in the subject by the teacher. If such feeling is there, definitely you are going to get good result from the teacher's point of view. Next is the art of teaching as well as the skill of teachers teaching. So there are teachers whom you remember till today because of their ability of teaching. So some of them were very wonderful. We still remember because not of their how externally they look, but how beautifully they used to teach, how artistically they used to teach, how wonderful the skills they used to use for teaching. So still today, we used to remember the teachers who are very good, not only in the content, but the way, the methodology or the technique that the teachers used to use. So the art of teaching, the skill of teaching that the teacher is using, those all aspects matters for development of very good initiatives from the point of teachers. So whenever as a teacher we need to present something, we must be familiar with what I am teaching artistically, and I should have to be use those methodology as per as skill is considered. Next is the personality traits as well as the behavior of the teacher. So what traits here means characteristics of the personality. So the teacher should be externally also, he should be very neat, disciplined. The behavior of the teacher is also very, very impressive. Okay, whenever teacher by his behavior, external behavior only, most of the times he or she should have to inspire the learners towards his or her teaching. So our behavior as well as the characteristics that we used to talk about, the traits, they should be very, very meaningful and they should be acceptable. Okay, if the teachers used to have these type of categories or characteristics, definitely there will be a good indication. So that can also be done. Next is level of adjustment as well as the mental health of the teacher. Teacher's mental health should be very stable. Okay, if the teacher's mental health is good, he or she can listen to everybody. He or she can listen to everybody, as well as they will try to understand the problems of the students, as well as they will try to give the solution to the problem of the learners sequentially, so that that will be good for as per the presentation is considered. So always a good teacher inspires by the level of adjustment to any condition, whether it may be online mode or offline mode. We need to adjust and we should have to do the best from our side. And as well as the mental health of the teacher should be very good always, because if you enter the classroom, if you start teaching to your students in a very systematic form, definitely it creates a lot many developments. If your presentation, sorry, if your presentation is not that good, definitely it will create a lot many nuisances in the class. Next is type of displays, type of discipline as well as the interaction which was maintained by the teacher in the classroom also matters. So that we need to take care of the discipline. So according to time, we should have to host the online class or even the offline classes. The type of interaction we used to have in the classroom should be in a need form. It should not be related to the personal matters. It should be related to academic aspects, so that the teacher should have to get the right type of motivation among the learner. Next, let us talk about the contents related to content related factor. So the other factor, learner factors we have discussed. Okay, teacher related factors also we have discussed. Once again, I would like to discuss teacher related factor, mastery over the subject matter, art of teaching, skill of teaching, personality traits of the teacher, behavior of the teacher, level of adjustment of the teacher, mental health of the teacher. So the discipline element that the teacher used to have, as well as the interaction type of the teacher, and even you can add any other elements which you feel that these factors influences on me at the time of learning by the teacher's perspective. Third category that as per learning is considered is content related factor, wherein subject is again play an important role. So the content that we are actually talking about, that definitely play an important role for understanding of any subject is considered, like the nature of the contents or the type of the experiences that the students are used to get. The classroom condition should be good, either it will be offline or online. If suppose at the time of online classes are considered, if everybody unmuted themselves, there will be a lot many disturbances, noise problem. So that even in offline classes also, if there is a disturbances from any other source, again there may be some difficulties. So content should be very, very good which you wish to teach in the classroom condition. If it is according to the age, according to the age only, content should have to be fixed. So for your age, this particular subject, you need to read as well as learn some of the contents of psychology. So according to your age, this content is given. You cannot make the nursery or for primary or high school students to learn these subjects at their subjects. So they will study the different subjects according to their age as well as the experience is considered. So the nature of the content is also matters for the development of learning in a very systematic form, as well as the type of experiences that we used to get accordingly. Every now and then we used to get the experiences. So based on the nature of the learning also, our experience of the learning, we need to improve ourselves. That also one of the important factor. Next is selection of the content, for whom I need to teach, what I need to teach, how I need to teach. So if I wish to teach the same subject to nursery, I cannot teach like the lecture method. I should have to tell these elements like a story or other form, so that they will be listening to me. If I start teaching like you people this subject to the nursery or first standard students, they will not listen to me because they will feel very much boredom towards listening to any lecture like this. So according to age factor, according to the content, we need to change and we should have to adopt something. Okay, everything matters. Again, the selection of the content or the learning experiences are how you organize the content. See, in a particular textbook, say for example in psychology that you are all learning right now. So there will be in the first unit what is psychology, meaning, definition, concept, types of psychology, branches of psychology, like that you study. In the other elements related to psychological aspects like what is learning, what is motivation, what is perception, what is sensation. Okay, like that the other elements of psychology will be studied. So the content which is fixed, the nature of the content, then the selection of the content should be done in a very neat manner. After selection of all the units in a particular subject, there should be a right form of organization of the content, which will be the first unit, which will be the second unit, which will be the third unit, which will be the last unit. So the arrangement should be done in a spiral form, easy to complex way. The first unit will be very easy, second will be a bit difficult, third will be a bit difficult. Like that, difficulty level increases towards the end of the lessons. So like the way we need to organize the content. This is the factors which are influencing on as per content related activities are considered. So this much is there as per this consideration is given. Now let me move on to the next element, that is transfer of learning. How transfer of learning used to take place, and even the other parts of what I can say learning elements that we can see in the next class. Okay.